Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to another episode of New Music Finds, and boy do I have a lot this week. Now this is not the normal amount of stuff that I buy, but I've got 25 CDs and one record to go through with you. We're going to dive into this in just a bit, try to break it all down here. But before we do, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this, with a new episode of New Music Finds. So this is where I like to gather everything up that I've purchased over the past week. And if you watched my New Music Now episode, I showed you some new releases that I got at that time, but I also held up a bag like that of stuff that I had bought the same day. And I told you you'd have to wait until this video to see it, so now you're going to get to see it. But before we get to that, we're going to do this video a little differently. Normally I kick off with new releases. I'm not going to do that this time. I decided, because I got so much stuff on so many different days, I'm actually going to go through it by day of the week as I did it. So we're going to start with Monday. And I'd been out at Sound Exchange because I was filming an episode. And so with Anthony doing a discussion topic, and of course if I'm going to be in a record store, I'm going to shop, so that's not a normal day that I film on, but because I was there, like I said, I'm going to shop. So I ended up going home with 6 things here, and as you guys know from music news and things of that nature, Steve Morse is out of Deep Purple. So I've been deep into listening to a lot of Steve Morse and Steve Morse related things, and in particular his band the Dixie Dregs, who he was with before Deep Purple. So this here is a later era album, The Dregs, when they decided to drop Dixie from it, hopefully to try and let people know that they are actually a rock band and they're not some country thing or whatever. And so that was what this is, Unsung Heroes, and it's a Japanese import, was still sealed, and that's one of the things I love about Sound Exchange. They have so many imports and yet the stuff is still sealed. So very cool. Got that, enjoying that. Picked up actually quite a few Dixie Dregs here. Got this one here, Night of the Living Dregs, Night of the Living Dregs. And also the debut album from them, Free Fall. And picked up a best of, so got that. And picked up the final Steve Morse solo album that I didn't have yet, High Tension Wires. So I was just, 5 things with Steve Morse and related stuff there, totally digging that. If you've never really explored Steve Morse, I highly recommend it. My favorite albums of his are from 95, 96 era. He had an album in there called Structural Damage that's absolutely fantastic. Stress Fest, I think, was the one that came out after that. Those 2 albums are my favorites of his, but I've been enjoying digging back into this stuff here. Another one that I picked up that same day on that Monday was John Wetton. This one here, Battle Line. So this was the first thing he did after leaving Asia. And here it's got a date on the back of it is 1996, but I think it came out in 94. Well, as I said, it's kind of a sad thing, where in the sense that he recorded it for a major label, and then a label merged, and he was one of the artists that got dropped from it. So he had all of this support, did a professional recorded album, and then they ended up handing him his walking papers, and he had to license it out independently around to different places. So in this case, I don't know if it took 2 years in general for it to come out everywhere or just on this label here, but 1996 was the date on the back of this. But like I said, I think it was recorded in 94. Very good stuff from John Wetton, very much in the vein of his stuff with Asia. Again, touching back on the whole Steve Morse leaving Deep Purple, some of the stuff I was picking up in previous weeks, I talked about Don Airey. Don Airey and Friends double live album. Great song selection across the board from Don Airey and all the different projects he's been involved, whether it be Gary Moore, Deep Purple, Rainbow, Whitesnake, etc. But the reason I picked this up is it's got Simon McBride, the guitar player, who is currently on tour with Deep Purple, was filling in for Steve Morse until he came back. But now that Steve Morse has stepped down, will Simon McBride take over the mantle in full? The band is not announced yet, but that's why I'm enjoying this. We've got 2 Deep Purple guys there, and so we'll see what happens. When I was in, so that's Tuesday, and when I was in Sound Exchange on Monday, I saw a Beck Bogart Appice live album that I chose not to pick up, but I actually didn't have their studio album. So I picked that up, and I know, kind of shocking, right? Not in the collection, but, and in past weeks, I've been getting into Jeff Beck, somebody that I was never really into before. I mean, that's a pretty recent thing. Within the last 2 months, I've discovered Jeff Beck. I had one album, Guitar Shop of his, and I kind of bought it just to check it out. Had it in the collection. It was okay, but it really wasn't doing a whole lot for me. I always like Jeff Beck a lot better when he's guesting on albums. And I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden I decided to dig in a little bit deeper, and it is finally clicked, and I'm really enjoying what Jeff Beck can do. Now I really understand all those people that always raved about him and so forth. So when I saw that, and this is an album I never picked up, probably because Jeff Beck was the guitar player on it, but now when I realized, oh, there's this other album I can pick up that's got Jeff Beck, great, I jumped at the opportunity. I actually got that off of Amazon for $3.99, $4. So that was a cool one there to be able to get that into the collection. Now, jump ahead to Friday. I was out there doing my regular filming with Anthony because we had gotten behind. That's why I was out there Monday catching up on an episode, and then we filmed on Friday. And so I've got that one. I haven't posted it yet because we did Record Store Meetup on Saturday, and a bunch of videos from that. And so you've been seeing all of those videos. If everything's playing out in time correctly here, then hopefully tomorrow you are going to see the video with Anthony and I doing a discussion topic and so forth, the one that I had filmed on Friday that we're talking about. So I know all these days are probably blending together with you guys, but I apologize. So when I was in the store that past Friday there, I, of course, had to do some more shopping, so I did, and found this one here, Gowen, Lawrence Gowen from Styx. Great debut album from him. I don't know if he was in a band or anything prior to this, but this is 1982, before he joined Styx, taking over for Dennis DeYoung. I had a couple of his solo albums, including Strange Animal, which incidentally is getting a lot of recognition right now because it's in the latest Jordan Peele film. And so kudos to him for being able to get a song into the film from 1985, and that's now causing that song to get a lot more play and recognition. But he was on my mind because I had read about that in music news. When I saw this here, picked that up. Picked up another John Wetton, Archangel. This one here is the album that came out after the one we just saw there. This was a cool find here. Kingdom Come, later era album, Japanese import, 1997 release called Master 7. I think by this point he was the only original member, and he carried on the band for a long time doing just that. But Lenny Wolf is and will always be Kingdom Come. There's now actually a version of Kingdom Come out there without Lenny Wolf. He has given his blessing and their permission to use the name, and if memory serves correct, it's everybody else that wasn't in the last version of Kingdom Come, meaning it's the guys from the first 2 albums there, just minus Lenny Wolf. They've got a new singer. I think it's Keith St. John, if I'm not mistaken. And unfortunately, they've had some hiccups in their live performances. We'll have to see if the band even continues. But from what I understand, they cannot record new material, but they can go out and play live. So we'll have to see if that hurdle ever gets crossed there. All right, continuing on here, still from that Friday bundle of things. I think I bought 8 then. Randy Cohen, a bass player called Funk Me Tender. It's on Guitar Recordings, a label that would put out a lot of cool instrumental guitarists and stuff like that, but had a couple bass players and stuff do things. They also had a violinist, Mark Wood. So I always kind of found that interesting. There's some cool things out there if you want to, if you're into instrumental guitar, but you want to try something a little bit different. This is just bass player doing all the craziness that guitar players do, and we've got a violinist doing the same thing, Mark Wood. So some cool stuff out there. I know he's got at least 2, because I've got one that says Sammy Says Ouch, I think, and I think that was the name of his bass. But then there's this one here, and I didn't know about this one, so this was a cool find. I had been looking for this the last couple visits to Sound Exchange and didn't find it, and then lo and behold, it was there. It was in backstock or something, it made its way out, and I found Cozy Powell, Over the Top, the debut solo album on Japanese import CD. I was so excited for this. This here was my big find, and I've been loving it. It's only 7 tracks, but they're just all really, really good. And he's played with so many bands that the guests that he had on these solo albums are very cool. We've got Jack Bruce on here, Bernie Marsden from White Snake, Don Airey is on here, Gary Moore. I'm sure there's other people, I'm not seeing them real quick. Dave Clemson, I think it's from Sensational Alex Harvey Band. Very cool. And then the songs have those sounds from those artists related on it. This was another really cool one that I've been looking for, and I've never physically seen this one anywhere. Cozy Powell Forever. It's a Japanese album release, tribute album, but what's cool is it has the vocalist and drummer from Loudness, the original members, and then you had a couple other guys, and I forget what other Japanese band they came from, but it was essentially like a Japanese supergroup that got together to record a bunch of Cozy Powell songs. So we've got stuff from Rainbow, we've got his solo stuff on here, we've got Whitesnake on here, and I thought this was a live album, but it's not. It turned out it's recorded in the studio. So when I was buying it, I was sort of like, yeah, I want to go in and get it just simply because it's a cool celebration, etc. And you guys know I'm not a big fan of live albums, so when I got home and put it on and found out it was a studio album, I was like over the moon excited because it turned out to be something that I wasn't expecting. I'd have hunted it down a lot more, harder, a long time ago, because this thing I think has been out for some time. 99 maybe is when it came out, or give or take. I'm looking for a date. 1998 in fact. So it's been out for a long time. And another Japanese band that I found, band that was called Sly. This is called Vulcan Wind, and it has in here lead vocalist for Loudness. Sorry, totally spacing for a minute. Original lead vocalist for Loudness, after he left Loudness, formed another group, and that is this band here. And I forget who the rest of the guys are that are in this. Well, we also have the drummer from Loudness in here. Minataka Higuchi is in here. Minoru Naihara is the lead vocalist from Loudness. And the other 2 guys that are in here were also well known from other Japanese bands, so it was a super group of sorts. And I've always known the name because I've kept an eye out for it, knowing that that's got a couple guys from Loudness. So when I saw it, I was like, wait a minute, I recognize that. And I had to look it up. Again, turned out to be some good stuff there. And I was also into Jefferson Starship and some Grace Slick solo, and so I picked up the last Grace Slick solo album I didn't have, Manhole, and this is 1973. Yes, I know the story behind why it is called that, so you don't have to leave that in the comments. Good album so far. I'm kind of just early diving into this thing. 1973 stuff. It's got her fellow Jefferson Airplane and some future Starship people, because this is before Starship took off there, Jefferson Starship I'm meaning. So it's actually got a really cool lineup of people on that. And then I also picked up one record when I was there, band that I don't know anything about, but I saw this cover and I just said, yeah, those guys have got to rock. I flipped it over, look at it, I'm like, they definitely rock. Just from looking at this, I was like, yeah, those guys kind of look like some good biker rock, Little Caesar style maybe. And it wasn't far off when I got home from it. And it did say on the front of it, rowdy, raunchy rock and roll. $5.98, I decided to take a chance on it and turned out to be really good. The group is called Delta Rebels, and the name of the album, Down in the Dirt. So if you want to check it out and look into who they are, Delta Rebels. All right, now when I got home on Friday from having been out at the record store, I had new releases that had arrived in the mail. And you saw these, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. You saw it as part of New Music Now. And just a quick recap there, all those ones you just saw there from that Friday thing, that was the ones that was in the red bag like that. So now you're finally getting to see them. Neil Young, Noise and Flowers featuring Promise of the Real as his backing band. There's been some comments, people saying it's not a very good recording or whatever. I don't have any issue with the recording. I understand that Neil's vocals are not like they were when he was, 1970. He's been releasing a lot of archival material, and I think it's reminding people what Neil used to be like live. In his later stuff like this, he's much more gravelly in how he's singing and whatnot. But hey, the guy's in his 70s. Like, what do you expect? The set list on this is why I was interested in it. And of course, I just love everything Neil does. But kicks off with Mr. Soul. Then it goes into Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, followed by Helpless. It's got some cool deep cuts on here. Throw Your Hatred Down, which is from the Pearl Jam album that they did, Mirror Ball, together. Rockin' in the Free World is on here. He doesn't perform that often. It's not usually part of his set list. Comes a Time from Hank to Hendrix, On the Beach. Really cool set list that's on this, so that's what intrigued me. Maybe it'll intrigue you. Hanoi Rocks guitarist Andy McCoy, called Jukebox Junkie. And I was talking about this and I didn't know it at the time. I was just simply saying that the one single I had heard was really, really good. Well, I found out why, because the whole album of 14 tracks, it's all covers, which then made far more sense as to why the title is called Jukebox Junkie. So the third track that's on here, Take Me, I'm Yours, I believe is a song from The Squeeze. I think that's what somebody told me. But I put the rest of it on and it's really good from start to finish. They chose a lot of lesser known songs to cover, not the big out front hits that you might expect from a lot of bands and things like that. So I can listen to it and not be thinking so much of the other bands, but just hearing it for what it is. He also has vocalists involved. So on his last solo album, he was singing himself. He's not the greatest vocalist. I do like it though when guitar players sing, but he brought in some vocalists for this, so that's cool. Brand new Soulfly Totem featuring Max Cavalera, former Sepultura frontman. This is really good. In fact, pausing it so that I can record this video, but it's what I'm listening to right now. And this one here is featuring their brand new guitar player. This guy's name is Arthur Risk, but it's spelled with a Z instead of the S, R-I-Z-K. At least I think that's how it's pronounced here. But first album with him on lead guitar. So a little bit different feel to it because of that, but I'm liking it. And then we got Primus Conspiranoid, 3-track EP that was previously released on vinyl only. I did stream, so I got to listen to it at that time. It's some pretty far out there stuff. If you're a fan of Primus and you know what Primus is like, this is even further out there than that, at least in my opinion. Good or bad, take it or leave it, but that's what it is. Glad that it finally got a CD release though. All right, and then as I mentioned, Record Store Meetup happened on Saturday, so I was once again back at Sound Exchange. Again, how could I not pick up some stuff? If you watched the experience videos from that, then you know that I did already pick some stuff up. So first thing up here, I got Steve Lukather, Candyman. This here, interesting history behind this because it didn't come out as a solo album in all of the different territories. Los Lobotomos, I'm not exactly sure how it was said. That was what it came out in different territories, but I think this one here, which is a European edition, was the only place it came out under his name. So I'd never seen it just as Steve Lukather, Candyman, with this cover and so forth. So that was a very cool find. Found a Michael Schenker group, or just really Michael Schenker, called Portfolio, and it covers UFO, Scorpions, and MSG. So it's as far as I know, and these are studio tracks, as far as I know, the only compilation that he has that actually has Scorpions included. I know there's some other ones that have UFO and MSG at the same time, but this one here, and this one here kind of mixes it up back and forth, so you're getting a little bit of all of that stuff on here. So that was good. This one here, didn't know what this was, had to do a little research on it. Group called Bad Habits. This is dedicated to Thin Lizzy, so it's a tribute to Thin Lizzy, and it features two of the guys from TNT. We've got the guitar player Ronnie Lee Tecro and the bassist Morty Black, doing all Thin Lizzy songs. But cool to get just to have something different done by these guys. And of course, sometimes it's nice. You get a little bit of a different interpretation on it. It's all recorded at the same volume and levels and mastered and mixed and all of that sort of stuff. Whereas like a greatest hits of Thin Lizzy spans a lot of different years, a lot of different recording styles. And so it kind of goes up and down and so forth, but you get that. Found this, which was very cool. Never Stop Rockin' by the Georgia Satellites, an EP, Japanese only EP, featuring 7 tracks. And so we've got a John Fogerty song on here, Run Through the Jungle, a couple outtakes or unreleased songs, Saddle Up, and then That Woman, a remix on here of the song Sheila, and 3 live tracks as well. 7 tracks on that, very cool. And last but not least, the 25th CD that I got over this past week, Utopia, POV. And as I find, I think that the POV means a lot of different things, but I'm going with point of view because when I opened this up, you kept seeing different images with different titles, all using the letters P, O, and V on it. 10 original songs that are on here, plus it's got 3 additional tracks on here. So nice bonus tracks. It's an Esoteric Records reissue, so it's got a great booklet with it. All in all, very cool. So I got a lot of stuff there, had a lot of fun going out to the record store Meetup, but Sound Exchange multiple times during the week and the new releases and so forth. So massive week for me. Again, not typical. I don't usually buy that much stuff. So I've got a lot of stuff here that I'll be enjoying for some time. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this. Take care. Have a good week, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.